Sam is here with us as always. And so his little girl, they're eating their peanut butter. I'm going to turn the comments on now so you can see it. There we go. I had to get my dogs fed. It took me a couple minutes to get their treats and snacks and bring the garbage bin back to the garage and all that type of stuff, yada yada. If you're new here, you might need to look at other videos to understand this video. We dove into this in great depth on the original Burry and Jen channel before I nuked the whole thing, which I did purposely for a variety of reasons. I always know when it's time to do a certain type of video because I get like the butterflies in your stomach, but not the good ones, the kind that you get if maybe you have a stage fright, right? Like, you have to perform, you have to go do this thing that you love to do. For some reason, you have to do it in front of a bunch of people. That's like some rite of passage as a adolescent, right? Or an adult in whatever field you're in. And you feel better once it's over. But whoever said getting there is half the fun never had a case of the nerves like that or anxiety. I started doing this because of big changes in my life and in just in life in general. And I gotta say, you guys, and again, this is like a group thing. This is not about me per se. It's the testimony that's important. It's all of us. It's a cumulative effort at this point. And you all have shared so much with me. And so I share back. And it's to bridge a gap. And it's also to create trust. To understand that I have no reason to lie to you. I'm not sponsored or any of those types of things. I genuinely just feel like I need to do whatever small part I can to make things better. Because I participated in making them not so great, right? In making them negative. So I don't know. I just feel like it's something I felt called to do. And I don't want to go over that whole thing, but that's where we're at. And I gotta say, if you guys woke up, like when I say woke up, I don't mean like this new go woke thing. I mean like into yourself, right? You come into yourself, you gain some part of your spirit. I don't know what it is. Again, it's a spiritual rite of passage when you become an adult, or maybe for some people it's when they have a child. For other people, it's just a shaking. And I was awake before, and I had fallen back to sleep, just getting onto autopilot and being a mother and providing for my family, that I didn't treat myself as a being with a soul or a spirit, and it was to my own great detriment, but more importantly, it was to the detriment of my children. And I only thought I was hurting myself. Like, at the time when I was in it, I was doing everything I was told I had to do to be a good mom. They were cared for, they were fed, they were supervised, right? They had family around them. It was all the things that I thought at that time we were supposed to be doing. But if you wake up to like your spiritual, to the fact that there is a spiritual war happening, 2012 and 2017 were big anyways. Even people who just don't believe at all, right? They just think you go into the ground and that's it. There's nothing else. You live for this life, kind of like hedonistic. Even those folks knew something was going on in 2012 and something happened in 2017. So there's a couple of things I want to say right off the bat for anyone who doesn't hang out. Today is February 22nd. 222 is his number. Now, I still have not determined the 666. I know that one of those sixes is for carbon, to show that like he is of mankind. The other two I don't quite have down yet, but there are a lot of verses that point to that as well. But for whatever reason, I told you, the real world seems to have a built-in algorithm that you can recognize or see, that if you can recognize the patterns that are playing out around you. And I'm going to give you an example of this, and it's going to be a very personal example. But again, I believe it's some type of spiritual evidence of the claims that I've made and backed certain things up. And again, it's to walk you through where I'm going with what I think is going to, I guess, warnings, I don't know. The stars affect us, right? As above, so below. It affects your body. It affects your physiology. The magnetic, what am I trying to refer to here? Magnetic wavelengths that the earth itself sends out affect us and we affect the earth. We have like this symbiotic relationship with the earth because it's alive. No, I'm not an earth worshiper, right? There's nothing wrong with caring for the earth. In fact, it's a good thing that you should want to do. It is our home, right? Do you let people just throw trash all over your home? Well, you shouldn't do that with your home either, the home of the human race, of mankind. I've been trying to pull things together, and I've been really just in a time of reflection because this is a very personal time for me. Certain things are coming up, certain things are going to happen. Getting closer to God makes you kind of further away from the people around you. But I told you that numbers kind of follow them around, and 222, for whatever reason, is their number. I gave you evidence of that, what I witnessed while I worked, while they allowed me to work, about the story my youngest son had told me when all this started, about his friend being accused of being the AC at a local church. I'd never heard this before. His mother is deceased of cancer. There's a lot of that here. There is a lot of one-parent households. And again, I think that's by design. I think that's how they're operating. I think Christ was right when he said they know not what they do. But these ones that we're dealing with now, they know what they're doing. And they're doing it intentionally. And so it's very important for you to understand about consent. And you should move forward from that, though, right? Because we all have a maker, and that will is going to be the one that wins out. However, he's a gracious father, and I believe we have a mother as well. And the father's always the benefactor, right? He gives us what we want, what we ask for, sometimes just to teach us a lesson. So you should be moving forward from consent and natural law to a better state of prayer. It's to bring you closer to a state of prayer. Saying I consent to or I do not consent to just makes it very clear and verbalizes it for you. And it does maybe more for you than it does for demonic energies and whatnot. But it's still very important. But you're supposed to grow in that, right? It's supposed to turn into a way of prayer and talking with your maker. So today's 222, and that number follows this one around. It's also the house number. Told you I was looking for that house number. I couldn't find it. I had to go into Google Maps. Well, it is my son's friend's house, but they have 2 house numbers listed at that house. And again, I don't know if the story he told me was true or just to freak me out, because there's a lot of this happening. They tell you something is about somebody else. Like, I get a lot of my sister and my sister-in-law, but it's like they're talking about me. Because those things then I end up finding out that, like, somehow that relates to me, myself, right? The stories, things we've touched on, all right? Do I think certain people have that ability to bring things to life? Yes, but I think it's manifesting now even more to get people into the bad side of New Age. And I couldn't figure out, okay, all this stuff they're showing me about reincarnation, they want me to think that the spirit of my husband is in my youngest son. And again, I know how this sounds. It's weird, and I feel like I'm in a video game, and it's concerning and disgusting, and they deny it, and I'm just whatever, at this point. But his number, my spouse's number, that he always just kind of liked and favored when we met, when I do the gematria on my youngest son's email name, it comes out to that number. That number is also in my house address. It's in my dad's phone number, and it's also in another person's address that I believe my husband is acquainted with. So these things are manifesting, and I'm telling you about them, not because I'm trying to divine. You don't have to divine. We're not supposed to be spiritually asleep, and we're supposed to be able to see what's going on around us and the times we're in, because we're not helpless. And that's the whole point of this channel, is to, like, arm you with the knowledge that you actually need, and to understand that you have the right and obligation to say no to certain things here while you're here. That's your right, and it's your obligation, especially if you're a parent. This is why I won't touch certain subjects, because they're very personal, because I am a parent, because they are a part of my testimony, and I'm not going to tell somebody else's story for them. I'm going to have that respect, because no matter what they've done to me, they're still my family. If there's something other working through them, I've got to battle that, not my family. Christ never was violent with anybody. So I want to get that out too. This is not any promotion of violence ever. When I say warfare, we're talking about using your words and your free will and your power of choice while you're here. So I was on a couple of different train of thoughts, and I started doing the research for them, and I decided, wait a second, this is getting weird. I'm getting that feeling in my stomach. And I'll have it until whatever needs said is said, and then I'm fine and I can kind of relax. So this process is always very uncomfortable for me. So just if I'm a little erratic in my thought process, that's why. All right, so I got a lot of stuff pulled up, and I just kind of want to show it to you and talk about it a little bit. Okay, so 4/8/24, that's the date of the next eclipse, right? And I gotta have paper here because it gets deep. Now, the first eclipse was on, and I found this because I started asking questions. I wanted to know how many days. Now, if anyone's here and you want to figure this out for me, I wanted to know, if you guys are commenting, I'm sorry I can't see them. I wanted to know how many days. That's a question I posted. Well, I Googled it and I found this answer. I asked how many days are in between the eclipses, because I wanted to know if it matched the tribulation period, if it was 7 years. And that's what the teachers teach us, and that's a mostly Protestant kind of Southern Baptist thing, the 7 years, but it is in the Bible. What I don't like is all the gymnastics they use to get to certain dates. That's where I get a little lost. I'm very simple, especially when it comes to numbers. I can learn anything. But when it comes, I try to relate things as simplistically and easy to understand as possible for my own self. In my learning process, I could say, oh, this is like this. Now I understand how that works, right? You don't have to know all the intricacies. So I really don't want to know how they get to certain points. But I can read, and I know when numbers are mentioned, and I can do the basics, right? So I wanted to know how many days were in between these two events. Now, pay no attention to whatever is going on here with the person saying the comment is only partially true, because they end up disproving what they said right there. Everything the person answered is actually true. But we're going to look at it and check it out. And I got to say, I've walked you through this, and part of my testimony is the high strangeness, and I do that to show you that somehow God is working, and that somehow we've based our computer systems off of our actual reality, because a child always copies its parents. So God, the maker of this place, somehow uses numbers in sacred geometry and in patterns around you. I think everything, like I have a cup in front of me right now, right? It's a cup. But to a computer programmer, that cup is actually represented by a series of numbers and or letters, right? Symbols. So it's not actually a cup. If I want to see beyond the veil, what I'm actually holding here is a series of symbols and numbers and letters to make up the matter that makes up the cup. God, I hope that makes sense, because I'm not physics girl. I'm trying so hard with all of this, and it's very hard because I have this extreme sense of urgency right now, and I'm trying to come across. I want this to be easy to understand. Okay, so the first thing is August 21st was my dad's birthday. My dad passed away in 2012, right before the Mayan calendar ended. And he also left me an Aztec chessboard. I think it's Aztec. I don't think it's Mayan. So there's that. My dad also has a scar, or Jesus has a scar, on his side. My mom always said it was from a bar fight. My dad wouldn't talk about it, but when she told me that, he said he had saved somebody who was getting robbed by a thief. Do you see how that... I don't know. This is so bizarre for me. Like, I'm in a story, and I don't want to be in this story in this way, because it gets very strange. Anyways, there's a lot of this happening, though. I'm not the only one. So that's where I get my courage from, is seeing other people throughout the years get on here and tell their story. The problem is Live streams are best, and they're best for the people who are viewing them right then, because the machine, the beast that is AI, the wicked part, can take whatever it wants, chop it up, edit it all kind of funky, and make it look like I'm saying something I'm not, or cut out the good bits that you really need. Or, and this is a good one, they go all around saying this is an analog horror game, or this is an arc, or this is a story. I'm seeing a lot of that. And if you know how to observe people, you can tell when somebody's acting. Really, you can. And I see a lot of that today around me. It is very easy to see people when they're playing pretend. You can't play act love. You can't act your way around that. You either know love or you don't. And if you don't have any love in your heart, then you don't know God. And so you can't pretend to be in love. Okay, now you're just being gross. You've had enough. Lay down. I think Sammy just burped. I'm sorry. Lay down. Lay down now. That's enough. She's laying and resting. You take a rest. Sorry, guys. Anyway, August 21st is my dad's birthday. The greatest eclipse was at, and then it goes into all these numbers, right? And again, I'm wonky with numbers. But we have April, May, June, July, August. So that's 4 months in between the months, whatever. But we have August 21st, 2017 to April 8th. Then you have 1818. Eights are big. Eights mean infinity or eternity. And in Back to the Future, Marty had to go 88 miles in the DeLorean before it would jump back in time to create a new timeline. I know this, I don't know. I'm just going to keep talking, and if you get it, you get it. I'll do the best I can. The interval is 2,422 days. What did I just tell you about Whoa! Whoa! Okay, hang tight. That was nasty. She gets wicked. I'm sorry. She's little, and so if Sammy's like messing with her and she doesn't want mess with, even just cuddling or licking her, she don't want mess with. Please get away from me. You just were mean to Sammy. I don't want you near me when you're like that. I don't like that. Out of animals especially. Dogs like me, and I like dogs, but you're a cat dog. You're a weird dog, lady. I like you well enough, but if you keep acting like that, I won't like you. Anyways, okay, I'm sorry. I'm not in a studio. This is my bedroom, and you've seen it. I've showed it to you. So the interval is 2,422 days. Okay, so hold, please. Now we're going to cross-reference. We're going to jump over here. Oh, no. Really? Fiddled. You're going to make me go back and find it? Fine, then. How many days? Where's the days? Okay. There it is. And I will present my two witnesses, and they shall prophesy for 1,260 days clothed in sackcloth. Number one, the Bible is a spiritual book. When it gets into certain things, you have to know when it's alluding and using metaphors or when it's being literal. It's not always literal, but oftentimes each verse has three different connotations. The literal or material, physical, whatever you want to say there, spiritual, and then a third one sometimes that relates to some type of timeline thing, like some type of chronology, and it is not in chronological order. Now, I'm not a teacher, okay, but I do tire of seeing things being mistaught that I can easily grasp just from going through it on my own and praying, and being quiet and just reading on my own. That's the biggest problem we have today, is so many of us are kept so busy and distracted that very few people read for themselves to find out truth, because it is out there. But you have to dig. And this is where I get a little lost. Yeah, a little lost is the numbers. But I'm going to keep moving forward. If you want to write down numbers, this is only an intro if you're new here. Like I said, we've gotten into this very, very in-depth in the past. But this is to bring us current, because this is coming up. And I think, here's my theory. Okay, I'm just going to lay it out, and this is what I started looking for. Between the first eclipse, the Great Conjunction, and then this one, it's almost 7 years, right? Those days are shorted, but those days are shortened for the sake of the elect. Now, I was thinking that it began in 2017, the tribulation. I'm different than everybody else, though. I'm secluded. I'm isolated. I don't see a lot of what's going on. I rely on videos, but I also rely on prayer big time because I know that videos are faked. You have to understand that they can be greatly edited. What you're not seeing and what's not being said is oftentimes where you want to dig. That's where you want to look, in that liminal space of reality and our own paradigms, maybe is what I'm looking for there. You want to look in that gray area, okay? I found out more about Christ, about what they didn't teach about. About his actions, right? I didn't so much listen. You got to go through these things in a couple of different ways. And I don't think he ate animals, man. I don't. They never once does he sit down at a feast. And the one time he's around animals in the temple, he flips out. He flips a wig. That's my personal opinion thus far. I don't have proof to back that up. I think I do. But for people who don't believe in the Bible anyway, like, that's not proof, right? So again, we get into a lot of gray areas. I was thinking that it started in 2017. That's when my dreams started. That's the encounters that I had. You can go back and hear about that. That's when my life just got really, really upside down and wonky. If this doesn't add up to exactly 7 years, then you could consider the second half, the second 3 years. Lay down. Lay down. You are done. It's all gone. Lay down. I'm sorry. Lay down, be a good boy. Come on. You're a piglet. You are. You look beast. I named you well. Sit down. Sit down. Be nice. I won't let her bite you. Sit down. She won't get you. Sit down. Okay? All right. So you could consider the second half of that then, from 2017 to 2024. It's not quite 7 years. You're missing a few days. We're going to get to some other things in a minute. You might want a pencil and paper if you're paying attention and you're able to do that, because I'm going to have to do that, but I'm not going to waste your time doing that in the videos. We're just going to brush the surface of this, because again, I think it's really important that we start looking at and talking about these things before it happens. And the whole idea is, my channel, I'm not about prepping your body. I think that's, I think when you do certain things, you invite them in. Just like guns, you're inviting violence into your home. That's my opinion. But it's a very strong, like, I know that. I can tell you I know it, but you don't know it, right? You want to protect yourself. You want to protect your family. You want to protect your property. That's your right, and that's your obligation sometimes as a man. Personally, I think if you bring those things in your house, you are consenting to then violence entering your home. Everything here is reverse psychology. Why do you think they want you fighting for your guns? Because they want you to get violent. Why do you think civil war hasn't started yet? Because man has to kick it off. It can't be one of the demons, because they don't have seniority here. They have no say. They don't have sovereignty here. But so many people don't understand this and aren't using it. And I'm going to get to what they are and how they do their reincarnation thing in a minute, because that greatly plays into what's happening, and the conjunctions in the sky. And that goes back to the Egyptians and to the Hopi as well, and even like the Emerald Tablets of Thoth. But we'll get to that in a second. So the second half of this 7 years, when it ends on April 8th, it's not quite 7 years. So I was thinking that second half was, the 2024 was like the end. Like, that would be God's wrath. I haven't personally seen martyrdom happening. Maybe it is. They say certain things are happening on the television. And I'm going to be real blunt with you at this point. I think everything on the TV is all mind control. And that's what government is, mind control. We know this. This is old lessons we've learned, like, since the internet has been around. And we were able to start researching and studying things that we weren't taught in school, right? And that's where God is using this technology, because I believe it started with God anyway. I told you that. They've taken it and perverted it. God is using it against them at this point, with people like me, you, with us gathering in this manner. And most of us pray over our videos. So the people who need to see them and hear them will see them and hear them. The people who do not need to see them or hear them will come, but they will not understand any of it. So if you're confused, this video is not for you. And if you think you're one of God's children, maybe you should ask. because a lot of us are in a severe type of persecution right now, but it's mostly not physical. It's all very spiritual in the way that people treat you, in stepping on your free will, trying to supersede your free will, trying to attach things to you. And I'll get to why they're doing that in a minute. Now, I thought that the tribulation would end on 2024. However, as I've said before, things happened in my town, in my life and family, 2 years before it started kicking off out in the world. And this is what I'm talking about, that echo effect, the butterfly effect. Something happened near my physical vicinity that was so strong, it just echoed out. And you know that reversal causality, like that's a retro causality, I'm sorry, I got my mind in a million places, is a big part of my testimony. Things have been going backwards and in reverse for me my whole life, but really in a big way since 2017. And again, I think that's with reason. The demons will seem like they operate in reverse to us. That's why witches do everything in reverse from what our vision shows us. But we are a reflection of what is above. So just by nature, down here, everything is reversed and flipped. Okay? So you can have a demon, demonic energy, whatever you call it, I don't care. Demonic frequency, low-level sentient being, whatever you call it, I don't care. You could have one of those things interacting with you, trying to attach to you if you are low frequency, low level spirituality. That makes you more accessible to them. The whole goal in raising your frequency, and by saying that, let me be very clear, that's not arrogance. You should actually become more humble through this whole process and seeing your own flaws and errors and the error in your behavior over the years. Why am I saying all this? Because I think it's very possible, because things kicked off early for me, that everybody else's tribulation, we are either going to start it or we are hitting mid-trib. Because I think it's very possible, and again, I'll show you research that backs this, and my whole testimony started with a dream encounter that I had about an earthquake. But it's not about me. I'm not the only one. That's the problem, is that I went out there looking, and if you look for something, you're either going to find it or you're going to be able to disprove that it's true, okay? They say you find what you look for. That's not always true. Again, your consent only goes so far in this place. There's still natural law that needs to be abided to. The problem is that's no longer in effect. And we're seeing basic physics being defied. And that was a word I brought way back. I think it's on this channel though. Talking about how the AC, the Antichrist, they call him the man of lawlessness. And I think these are unfortunately, I think these are different people. I don't think it's all talking about the same person, individual. You have the main Antichrist, and then you have his honchos, right? Like his buddies, his goombas, his posse. And I think there's 5 of them. There's him, and then there's 5. 5 guys. 5G. There's 5. Okay? I know this doesn't make sense right away, but just follow me. It's very possible that there could be activity. And again, I'm not going to say definitives here, because I don't want to put it out. And the point is to warn, not to create. The point is to empower and not instill fear. You can't fight something if you don't know what you're fighting. So it doesn't matter. And everybody's asked me, and I know this is a thing, and I'm going to say it right now for anyone that's listening. Everyone has asked me where I want to go. Everybody wants to know really bad where I want to go. I just want to go away from here. It doesn't matter to me. Well, that's not necessarily true, but basically it is. But everybody's so concerned. I've had people, and now they're getting like desperate. They're not hiding their agendas very well. The acting is very bad at this point. And people are starting to look weird. I don't know if you've noticed it. I don't know if it's, alleged fluoride in the water or something in the injectables that people can't see what's going on. I don't know. But I know it's not just in video, because I'm seeing it in real life, like in person. People don't look right. They look weird. And I have memories that it seems like everybody else has forgot. And some of them are women being pregnant that I knew. And I want to be very clear about that, because we know that's in prophecy too. And we know that right now there's a lot of people popping up with babies, but we're not quite sure how they're getting these babies. I think we should start asking how they're getting these babies. Oh, well, the surrogate wants to remain anonymous. Really? How do we know that? How do we know that they're not using trafficked women to have these babies? And that they're not easier to take care of? I showed you a link in Science, or whatever. It was a credible resource. You can go look that up on the channel, where they want to make it legal to use comatose women as surrogates. Where are they going to get all these comatose women? Why is that an issue? Where are all these comatose? Why is that? You know what I mean? Because they're going to create the issue. They're going to create the problem. Where are they getting all the babies? What are the babies for? These people don't want to be parents. They don't know love. I'm not going to speculate on what they're using the babies for, but I have a pretty good idea. Because again, I can sense this desperation in people. And I call them people to be nice, to be charitable. At this point in time, as much damage that I've seen done to just my own life, and people would take responsibility. I've taken plenty of responsibility. And that's the goal, is to try and wake people up. So if you count the days, it's just short of 7 years. 6 years, 7 months, 18 days. Okay, how long? The two witnesses prophesied for 1,260 days, which equals out to exactly 3.5 years. Now, I have a Julian calendar app. We're on the Gregorian calendar, okay? Rome, all roads lead to Rome, right? The Pope is like the boss. He's like they're the mafia, basically. I mean, if you want to look at it that way. He's the dude, right? He's the dude everyone has to please. Only I don't think he's in business no more. And I've said that for a long time. They've been telling us nobody cares. Nobody's paying attention. They're saying they've got stuff coming out of Rome. A computer can spit anything out. ChatGPT can, have they given it ethics and morals? Does it know not to lie to people? Does it know not to impersonate real people online? Does it know not, you know what I mean? Does it know to be transparent? We have human beings pretending they're the opposite gender, and they wonder why that's upsetting to people. Because people in the past have died because of that, because they kept the secret until the very last moment. And people have been psychologically destroyed by stuff like that. It's deception, illusion. None of it is good. And I'm using all of these illusions for a reason. Illusions, not illusions. Two different things. So 1818. So if you use the Julian calendar and the Gregorian calendar, it's a little different. Because in the Julian calendar, something like 360 days equals out to a year. So in 7 years times 5, that's like about an extra month in our current in the Gregorian calendar. So somebody who's better with numbers, if you want to look into that, please do. I will be working with some of these numbers after this video. So now it's telling you CDT Paducah, Kentucky, the 2024 event max will be at 1826 UTC in Durango, Mexico. Okay. Now, I do have other pictures of the X, but we'll probably just pull that up. Now, you're going to say, what is this about? Just hang in there with me. Passover is coming, right? When Christ actually was resurrected. And it's right around this eclipse, which is even stranger. But let's see how many days different it is. This is why I started looking at the other calendar too, because all of the holy days, holidays, will be on they're different days, right? Orthodox, this is where and again, every church has a thing. And Paul knew this. This is why Paul wrote a letter to every church, because he knew, you guys got to get your doctrine together. You got to be on the same page, man, because we're confusing people, and that's not the goal. We're not supposed to be gatekeepers to God. Everybody should be made available the gospel, right? And everybody, and I'll get to that in a minute. Sunday, March 31st, 2024 is Easter. But is that, well, let's just continue, because, again, you guys can make note of these things. Now, Passover on 2024, the evening of April 22nd, 2024, so there's that 2-2, okay? until Tuesday, April 30th, is Passover. It ends after nightfall on April 30th. So after the eclipse, you then have Passover, right? So Easter 2024 will be observed on Sunday, March 31st. The most important Christian holiday, Easter, is a movable feast. Well, it goes by Sundays, right? And that's the problem. Now let's look at, when was it in 2017? It was on April 16th. And then 2024, March 31st. That's about 2 weeks difference. And again, I'm going through these differences for the sake of my own self when I watch it over, because I need to know what I got to look up, how I need to connect these things. Okay, so this is where I live. I live in Ohio. This year, this eclipse, I'm going to be able to, I mean, we could see the other one, but again, that was my dad's birthday. And that's when I was starting to wake up, and I saw how people were behaving before the eclipse, right, in the anticipation. And I was weirded out by it then. It's not that I don't love, like, I love the luminaries that God gave us, but I know it has an effect on people. I worked in healthcare, and I know it has an effect on my own body, right? I know on certain days and certain cycles, I should just leave people alone, and I do. Like, that's what I do now. Because it does affect us. For whatever reason, it just does. And all of this plays into what's going on. So the totality in Cleveland, the closest city, one of the closest cities near me, begins at 3:13. Now, I knew that I'd seen that number somewhere else, but I couldn't figure out where it was, so I had to go back. Where is it? Oh, fiddlesticks. Did I do it after? Hold, please. And again, this is why I have you guys involved in this, because it starts getting a little deep, and I get lost sometimes. Okay. I'll get back to the 13, but we know that 13, 3 is 13. We know that's a thing. I live in the area code 330. Hello. I've told people a million times I live in Jericho, and if you don't know what Jericho was, then you should look into it and see who actually lived there. But the sad thing is that no matter how many times I'm harmed by people, individuals, I still pray for them, and I still love them. I might run off at the mouth because it's just true, right? I wasn't able to change until I started admitting the truth to myself. And I literally was like a sleepwalking zombie. I don't know how else to describe it. And so I can't hold things against people. It's not our place to judge as far as who is saved, who isn't saved, that kind of thing. We should judge like who we let into our lives and our children's lives and our homes, right? And I've told you, this is not a good time to be meeting new people or inviting people into your abode. Even your tent. If you are a camper, try not to cowboy camp. I know it's tempting, but sleeping under the stars. But at least if you're going to do that, make sure you know your sovereignty very well. Because again, these things, and I think this is why they say Bigfoot follows the UFOs, right? And then we see the grays, the aliens who get people at night. I could have saw that. That's what they could have presented to me as. But to me, they presented as fallen angels because they knew that that was more believable to me than aliens. I think these lower level energies will show up as whatever it is you're afraid of. And I think David is a really good example of why you shouldn't fear those things. And also illusion. A lot of the things that we may or may not see are not going to be real. The AC, all of these fake signs and wonders, they're only going to be televised. Very few of these things are seen in person. Now, when you're able to really see things happening in your real life and in your space like I am, then you're going to know, okay, something is definitely happening. But you cannot judge everything by the screen. I do because I know it's a lie, right? And so I go into it looking for certain tells. Like that's my job as far as I'm concerned, is to show people really what's happening. Because I don't think certain movies are even movies. Like I really don't. And that gets into the whole fake reincarnation thing and all that. These beings are stuck here. They believe that, and it says in the Bible that they're cursed to walk the earth. I mean, they're entertaining themselves. And unfortunately, mankind is their entertainment. But you don't have to be. And we don't have to be. But they're going to play out this story about aliens wanting to come and help us and better us. And they're going to use that to give away your sovereignty. Don't ever give anyone else a say over you but the one who made you. And you don't even have to do that. That's how you know you're loved. Okay, so we got the Cleveland thing. Now, you're going to say, Jen, why did you do this? Okay, because here's my problem. My other theory is that maybe, and these are my theories because the Bible is proving to be true. Things in the Bible are happening. Now, whether because it's truly God's word or so many people believe it to be true and they're bringing it about, because Christ told us that the scribes lie. He told us that. So you have to watch out. You have to have proper discernment in certain things. All right? I'm not here to tell you which way to go. I can't do that. Like, I'm not a teacher, and I don't want that responsibility. You have your own free will to make your own decision. That when people say, well, you don't witness the gospel that way. People know it's there. They've heard it from me. They know that all they have to do is consent and receive it from God. And, sit down and confess, repent, and pray. That's what you got. That's it. It's really easy. It's doing the follow-up that's the hard part, and most people don't want to do that. And I get it. I mean, it's easier to not do it. But you're going to see very soon why this could affect your whole eternity and those around you, because we do affect those around us, and we are partially responsible for them as well. Now, here's the problem. What if all this stuff is just on the screen? What if this is not tribulation? What if we are past tribulation and this is Satan's short time to be free? Because here's my problem with that. You had Christ come the first time, right? Why does he have to come a second time? Why did there have to be more people born? Now, I believe it's because God is patient, right? And that is him allowing mankind time to be refined. We were still very young, and it was allowing us time to grow in spirit. And because there were a lot of children, right? And children at a certain age are not responsible for themselves. They can't consent to things or whatever. That's one theory, right? But why would they allow people to keep being born while souls still need to be born? I'm not God, so these are blurry things that we might never know. However, this has been bothering me for a while, and you're going to say, well, what does this have to do with the eclipse, and what does this have to do with, because it's very possible, depending on what time it is, either A, the physical events that on the earth that are supposed to take place have already happened, or they're about to happen. And that's a pretty big difference. Now, here's my problem. Is that in Scripture, now can I go there without doxing myself? In Scripture, we are told, now I'm just being really quick here. I apologize, but this is how I do this, so you guys can see the process. I want to know, it says in one of the verses that he will come with the Father, that they will both come down. They will wage war against the Lamb, but the Lamb will triumph. And again, not all of Revelation. Some of Revelation has already happened. Some of it's about Mary and Jesus. And so some of it's cyclical, I think, just to allow people time to be refined and time to make the right choice, because God is patient and he doesn't want anyone to perish. So who knows how many times we've done this? I don't know. I don't know it all. I don't have all the answers, but I know that we are in a very strange time, and we're supposed to be prepared, and we're supposed to study to show ourselves approved. Come and let No. I wish somebody was here to look that up for me. Anyone with ears to hear the Spirit's message in the churches. He will judge the nations and divide the righteous from the wicked. Yes, but can we get to the happy parts? Will he find faith on earth? That's what I wonder. Like, does anyone have any faith left but me? And again, it's not a good thing So it's not, I don't mean it that way. I don't mean it to be like, oh, I'm better than everybody. Not at all. I really took some lumps to get where I'm at. And I'm exhausted and I'm tired. And I'm only here doing this now because God poked me about it. And the pseudo spouse mentioned the eclipse the other day. And I can't believe for a few days I'd actually forgotten about it. Because I think that's going to be a big time in my personal testimony. And the unknown is always a little scary, isn't it? But that's what holy boldness and courage is about. It's pushing through that fear and overcoming and coming out the other side better and well from it. One of the verses talks about the Father actually coming. John, a stunning bride that symbolizes a new creation that has come. I want to know the actual verse, man. Out of the earth. Da, 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 da. Can you just not answer me? Verse about Jesus and Father God in the, no, on the earth. Oh my gosh, I just messed that up. Sorry. I really want to find it though, because this is the whole thing. Father God. Let's see if it's in here. Well, that's not it at all. Okay. There's a verse, and I'm going to attach it, but again, I don't want to take too much of your time. I do the research with me still because some people like it, and it gets us on a track to a thought process. I'm actually going to... Here are 3 terms that refer to the Lord Jesus Christ that encompass everything. They all speak of the start and the end, first and last letters. Okay, how about just get rid of Revelation and let's see what it says when I just do verse. In my Father's house there are many rooms. I would not have told you if it wasn't so. 26:60. Matthew 26:64 and Revelation 8:1. Sitting at the right hand of power, silence in heaven. Hey, where's the answer? According to Jesus, before the high priest, they would see the Son of Man coming and sitting at the right hand of the power. Also, the book of Revelation speaks of there being silence in heaven, which seems to indicate God the Father will come with Jesus at the second coming. Okay, so there's some speculation here. We can do a video search on just that if you want, or I can do it and then just do a short upload. But I want to keep moving so you can see my thought process. Okay, so in 1820, again, we're getting into years again, which gets kind of sloppy. Did I write that down? Okay, so I looked up next. I wanted to know, when did Joseph Smith see his vision of Jesus and the Father? Because here's the crux of the issue. If he is a real prophet, all these ifs, right? Because none of us, well, if we were here, we don't remember it. Most of us anyways. Was that the second coming? Was that it? Now you're going to say, well, if it was the second coming, what are we doing here? Well, I got a couple theories for that too. One of them is not very good, and I'm not going to go over it right now. So maybe another day. But do Mormons, and maybe if any of my Mormon friends are still watch the channel, because yes, I believe that Satan is in every church at this point, but he really had his fingers in the Mormon church with the polygamy issue. Everywhere you see that, that's the fallen ones go to. That's how they corrupt, is through that, doing that. And it allows them legal entry then into lives and into souls and into bodies even. So if he actually saw Father God and Jesus, if he actually had that vision, was it the second coming? Well, it says everyone will see, right? So why would it be kept a secret? I don't know. All I know is that it says after that, after Revelation and all that stuff, after judgment, that Satan gets free again for a short time, confusing all the nations. And nobody knows truth right now. We're all pretty confused as far as like what is fact. I have certain people telling me things are great in their area. I have other people telling me, where's all the people? I know I've wondered the same thing. There's cars everywhere. Very few people, or I see the same people all over the place. Food is different, which is whatever. They call us useless eaters anyway. And I've kind of been looking at that. What did Eve do to sin? She ate. Are we not supposed to, is eating a whole different thing than we think it is? Like when God is talking about the seeds of the earth shall be food to you and all that. It really makes me wonder what she ate. Because apparently your body does have a lot to do with this. The next thing we're going to go over, but I might do it differently, is the fight for Moses's body. Okay, so there's one theory. Is it the second coming? I don't know. Everybody didn't see it. I can't see Jesus fooling everybody, but somehow Satan gets free again. How that happens, what causes that or allows that, I don't know. God's patience, number one, right? Because it's one of his children too. Allegedly, it's well, he's got many different names too. Some people say it's Azazel, some say it's Samael, some say it's Lucifer. I don't personally, I try to leave them alone and not mess with them. We're not supposed to mess with them. And that's with good reason. So don't invite them into your lives, your homes, or your bodies. You guys know this. I've already gone over all this ad nauseum. All right, so what is the next thing? Well, let's look at a couple other things real quick that I had looked up about the eclipse. I didn't know this was a thing. I was looking up, because if you look up, all right, let's get rid of this first. The Great Conjunction. Let's look at that. What is it? Well, we've had several of them. Basically what it is, it's a conjunction of the planets Jupiter and Saturn. Okay, so people say space is fake. Yes and no. I agree with that and I disagree with that. I think that the Van Allen belt, which is what it was originally called, what the heck do they call it now? They call it something else. Magnetos, I don't know what they call it, I forget. It's the firmament, basically. Okay? And I think we are somehow encapsulated in water, and that space is water. That's why their spacesuits look so much like deep sea diving equipment, because it is. That's my guess. And I wonder oftentimes, like how they say if you dug a hole, could you get to China on the other side of the earth? It doesn't work that way. But as far as like warp zones and portals go, I wonder if you got so far into the bottom of the ocean, if it would take you outside of the firmament. If you have to go deeper inside to get outside. Because everything here's reversed, right? I don't know, that's just food for thought. That just kind of popped in there. I don't mean to have my thoughts so in such disarray. This is a very stressful time for me, but it's also, I don't know. It's kind of peaceful. I'm at peace with things. I feel like for a long time I was like, I'm not going to let this happen. I'm not going to let that happen. I'm not going to let, But maybe I was in error, because again, I keep saying God controls it all. We are supposed to spiritually fight, right? But as far as certain things go, it's in God's hands, and certain things only go so far. What's going to happen is going to happen. And people need to understand that too. I really dislike the law of attraction theory, because then that means that like children who are abused somehow did something to earn that. And that is a wicked, wicked deception. If the law of attraction is true, then why are little children attracting abuse? Why are bad things happening to good people then? See, a lot of these things are said to confuse the issue. And a lot of the things that are done are to hide God. If you know there's a firmament, Van Allen belt, whatever the heck you want to call it, you're going to know that you're protected, right? You're going to know that somebody cared enough to give you a covering, literally, right? In your earthly home. All of this has been to hide God, especially in this time. Clouds, fake clouds. Yeah, NASA has cloud machines. Look it up. You can do that. They make clouds. They're not rain clouds, just cumulus clouds. Kind of block things out. Like, they're that ill at this point that they think they can block God's vision of his dome, like the place he made. You can't. That's not that's total error. And unfortunately, we're stuck here with beings that think and operate from that state of mind. And it's a sickness at this point. And sometimes I wonder, I almost lately liken it to like, and again, I'm not a doctor. None of this is medical advice. This is all spiritual analysis. Okay. But spiritually, I would liken it to like mad cow disease or something like that. Cognitive dissonance is like at a all-time high lately. So my personal opinion, and I'll show you guys in a map because I actually ordered it. I showed it a few videos ago, but I'll show it to you when it gets here. It wasn't super expensive. It's just a little paper wall map. But I think the Earth has four corners. I think it's like a crater, like the actual land. North and south, those whole concepts are backwards. Because if you're going around the planet, you're just like when does north turn to south and south turn to north? Well, it's at this line and this does this and that does that. I don't want to hear all that. Yeah, I believe there's ley lines. I believe in sacred geometry, all that stuff. But I think it's been mistaught to us. And I think we should be more trusting in our own eyes of certain things and less trusting of, like, say, what we see on the screen. Even though you're seeing it with your eyes, it's being framed for you in a certain type of way. Trust your eyes. Trust your vision of the life in front of you. Everybody wants to escape this life so badly. When you could just make it better, why do you want to be in a video game? What is so great about that? God put us in a place where we're protected. We can pretty much, just as a sandbox video game / school, we can do almost anything we want here. Almost. Right? Within reason. We should be enjoying it. But we've got this other issue to deal with first. Right? So do I think there's planets? Yeah, I do. But I don't think it's set up in the way that has been taught to us. And maybe they're not planets. Maybe they're more like stars. In the Jewish Kabbalah, and I don't know a lot about this. I'll say that right now. I know the basics. I know enough to know that, like, the planets represent states of being in the Kabbalah, in their tree of life. Okay? Why they're, I don't know. Again, I think fallen angels are in every nook and cranny of each religion. Like, they made religion. And that's the unfortunate thing there. I don't mean faith and ritual. I mean, they made it a business. They make everything a business because they don't have heart. That's one thing that mankind has. That's why there's all these tests. That's why there's all these things. Why do you think everybody wants to be like you so much? Why do you think there's all these abductions? Stop letting them tell you that your body does not matter, because obviously it does. What you put into it affects your health. And we know this. This is basic science. There's proof for it. If you eat something you're allergic to, you're going to have a bad reaction, right? You know this. We know the basics. So the Great Conjunction is when Jupiter and Saturn appear closest together in the sky. They occur about every 20 years when Jupiter overtakes Saturn in its orbit. They are named great for being by far the rarest of conjunctions between naked eye planets, excluding Uranus and Neptune. Okay. Now, again, do I think they're up there? Yeah, I do. I think something's up there, but what it's constitutive of, what makes it, I don't know. And can we visit it? I don't think so. This mumbo jumbo about secret space programs and all that, again, all this verbiage, it always comes from the enemies of God. I know God, so I know his enemies. I was his enemy. Like, it takes one to know one, right? I know how they talk, even if they don't know it. Some of them, but most of them do. The secret space program and the Max Spears thing, like, my aunt told me the same story about my uncle. Okay? There is scripts that they seem to use and reuse and reuse and reuse, because if it works once, why not do it again? Just like the snake in the garden, right? Just like the polygamy with the religion that creeps in every time. Every time you see that, just like with John Dee, the queen loved him. Things were going great until he started talking to things he shouldn't have been talking to, listening to them things, and then doing things that things had to do. There are certain things that there must be justice for. And right now, natural law is being greatly violated, and I know that because of my own. I know it's happening. So I know if it's happening to me, it must be happening to other people. It's not just me. It's never just one person, guys. It's the only reason I do this is to reach the other people out there going through it, to say, you're not the only one, and here's another way to walk through this, because I've already done all the wrong things, so please don't do those things. Okay. So I don't know what gets into the numbers and stuff, guys. I'm so not good with that, right? Like, I don't get it. It doesn't even matter to me so much. Um, Separation of less than 10 acrominutes have only happened 4 times since 1200, most recently in 2020. So in our lifetime, guys, in the span of 7 years, about not even 7 years. And I wonder, like, maybe it's I don't like setting dates. Never mind. Um, so in 7 years, we've had two lifetime eclipses happen at the same lifetime. Like we're able to see them in our lifetime, right? A great conjunction, and you had the woman in the sky where she I don't even remember what it's called. Okay, so here it tells you why they're important. Great conjunctions attracted considerable attention in the past as omens. During the late Middle Ages and Renaissance, they were a topic broached, and please, they were smarter than us than we are today. All of these conveniences that we have do all the work for us. That's what's made us kind of dumb. And we have to understand that, and we have to not be insulted or offended, and we have to learn how to not be dumb. um, I'm doing the best I can here because science is not my thing. I love science, but I don't understand all the numbers all the time. Um, Up to the type of Tycho Brahe and Johann Kepler by scholastic thinkers such as Roger Bacon. Bacon discovered the town I live in right now. Okay, that's a whole nother rabbit hole. Pierre Daly, and they are mentioned in popular and literary works by authors such as Dante and Shakespeare. This interest is traced back in Europe to translations of Arabic texts, especially Albumacer's book on conjunctions. Clusterings of several planets were considered even more significant. The Chinese apparently remembered the clusterings of all 5 planets in 1950 BC and noted the clusterings of all but Venus in 1576 BC and all of 5 in 1059. These were connected in Chinese thought to the founding of the first 3 historical dynasties, the Zi dynasty, the Shang dynasty, the Zhou dynasty. The intervals evolved 377.8 years, 19 great conjunction intervals, and 516.4 years, 26 intervals. Bring Mars back to approximately the same position. Further repeats of the 516-year period lead to the clustering in AD 1524. Wow. Considered ominous in Europe at the time of the Radical Reformation and the upcoming clusterings of September 2040, which will involve all 5 planets again in a longitude span of less than 7 inches. 2040. I don't know. I really don't feel like we have that long, but maybe we do. That's just me. That my story doesn't mean that's your story, blah, blah, blah. That's just my general feeling right now. All right, so here's the thing with Julian years, and this gets way over my head. So anyone that wants to help out as far as the different calendars go, that is fine. Okay, occasionally there's more than one great conjunction season, which happens whenever they're close enough to opposition. This is called a triple conjunction. In this scenario, Jupiter and Saturn will occupy the same right ascension on 3 occasions, or same ecliptic longitude on 3 occasions, depending on which definition of conjunction one uses. See what I mean? We can't even agree on definitions for words now. This is why our science is messed up. The most recent triple conjunction occurred in 80 to 81, and the next will be in 2238 to 39. 80 to 81. That's interesting. The most recent conjunction occurred on December 21st, 2020, and the next will occur on November 4th, 2040. During the 920 Great Conjunction, the 2 planets were separated in the sky by 6 acrominutes at their closest point, which was the closest distance between the 2 planets since 1623. Wow, there's a lot of odd numbers in all of these dates that we've looked at, like every single one of them. And if you count, what I want to do too is count in between. I have to write that down. Hang on. Okay, so there's the shape it makes, right? And this is where knowledge in sacred geometry really comes in handy. Jupiter and Saturn's great conjunctions repeat every 120 degrees Saturn's path relative to the Jupiter in blue. Kepler's trigon, a diagram of great conjunctions from his book Stella Nova. Okay, so think of if you were a kid, man, I'm going to show my age again. If you had a spirograph as a kid and you put the little pen in there and you had the outer circle, right? Then you'd stick your pen in one of the holes, probably like this part right there, that little asterisk. And then it would spin around on the inside and you could create perfect patterns repeated over and over, depending on how long you did that, right? Okay. Now, this, again, you get into some really wild numbers here, but I'm mostly concerned with what's going on in our current events here. I'm not going to get into all that. Okay, so the next thing we want to look at, again, all these things are connected. I showed you that to show you this. The Great Conjunction Curse. I didn't know this was a thing. Had no idea. But you know me, I wanted to go find an older article. I don't really like the current stuff from the last few years. You know why? I'm sorry. Okay. Had to have some orange juice. Jupiter and Saturn and the Great Conjunction Curse. Now, I'm picking this one because it's from 2017, June 22nd, and I want to see what it says. So let's look at it together. I didn't know this was a thing. I had never heard of this, but I was looking up the eclipses. It brought up the conjunction because, again, that's it's part of the whole time period we're in. So are the blood moons. Don't forget about those. Jupiter and Saturn and the Great Conjunction Curse. Every 20 years or so, the giant planets, Jupiter and Saturn, meet. This rare conjunction has long been associated with weird events. We'll get to all that in a moment. It's just me. I'm just petting you. Jeez. We can get a visual preview the next clear night. Oh, wait. Yeah. Okay. Just look around the sky at 10 p.m. When is this? What is this for? Hold on. Oh, okay. So this was for that date. Okay. Just look around the sky at 10 p.m. The brightest star in the planet Jupiter in the southwest. Saturn stands low in the east as the third brightest star. If you're in doubt, point any telescope in the best telescopes. Point any telescope in the category its way, and you'll be astonished at the rings. A little secret. Okay, we want to know why things get weird. The two giant worlds will draw closer in the next few years. They will meet on the first day of winter in 2020, which is that December 21st? This solstice conjunction will be the most spectacular meeting of the planets in our lives. I think we looked at that live. We were doing a live stream and we had the Skynet brought up or something. The two will be so close to each other they'll merge into a single ball, at least for those with marginal vision. Through a telescope, they'll fit into the same field of view, separated by just 1/6 the width of the moon. Nothing short of spectacular. We've never seen it in our lives. In case you wonder if Jupiter can actually eclipse Saturn by passing directly in front of it, yes, it can happen, although there have been no such occultations in in the 5,000-year period of 1,000 to 6,000 AD. It will happen next in 77. Wow, that's madness. I don't know. You got to be a real genius to be able to date things that far ahead. I can't deal with that. These meetings of Jupiter and Saturn, called great conjunctions, usually happen in years divisible by 20. That's weird. And always in the constellation of Taurus, Virgo, or Capricornus. Hey, that's me. Although sometimes on the boundary of some adjacent constellation, which is why the Virgo conjunctions are sometimes listed as Libra. Hold, please. Please don't come at me telling me that I'm like promoting horoscopes or anything of that nature, because I'm not. You always have the ability to have a relationship with the one who made you, okay? And his son that he sent, Jesus Christ. You don't need anyone else to do that. Is it good to have a guide? Yeah, when you're going anywhere new, it's a good idea to have a guide, right? But anyway, I'm not a gatekeeper of God. However, God made the stars, he made the planets, he made us not to be stupid, but to study things and show ourselves approved. That doesn't mean just books. Okay, no offense, but God didn't write all these books. Man wrote them. Maybe God inspired them. The Holy Spirit inspired the Bible. But we're talking about life. God shows us things through nature. All we have to do is observe the nature around us to understand the inner workings of this place. And things that we don't understand yet, we just aren't there yet. It's not, but we couldn't deal with that, and I guess America's greatly guilty of that, because everybody had to rush the process, I guess, and intermingle when we weren't supposed to be doing certain things and yada yada. I mean, we all know that part. Okay, so I'm not doing that. We should know the stars, though. You should know the basics. I don't even know the basics. That's why I'm doing this now, is to familiarize myself, because I've been seeing these things happen. And I mean, we saw Halley's Comet when I was a kid, and then I think it came again with the Hale-Bopp and that whole cult controversy there that happened. So we've had a lot of things in our lifetime that have allegedly never happened before or have been very rare. The blood moons. I'd never even heard of one until it was about to happen, and then that's all you heard about for like 3 or 4 years. There was all these blood moons. I just, you didn't hear about it. Okay, so see, now they get into math, and I'm not doing that. Like, I'm no good there, so you guys can kind of just look at that if you want to. All right. Okay, where's the curse, though? Why are you guys not telling us about this curse? Da da da. Each letter spell heart, while Mars is arms, or ponder why every other planet contains the letter U. It's important to know when to stop. Oh, they're saying, much has been made of the fact that several presidents who were elected during a year of a great conjunction died in office. No kidding. That's interesting. That's probably the nugget of this article right there. Much has been made of the fact that several presidents who were elected during a year of a great conjunction died in office. Since that topic of coincidences is so popular, let's look at a few astronomical ones I've never mentioned previously. Wait, so hold up. When was the last one? 2017, right? With the woman in the sky? So, who was president then? When's the next one? What did they say? 2020? Was it 2020? Yeah, so we know who that is. Where's this curse thing they're talking about, you guys? I feel like I'm on Snopes or something. That was so misleading. Cultural trends. This alignment is often seen as a time of change and transformation. See, I don't understand. They said we'll get to that in a moment, and then I never got to it. Like, every 20 years, da-da-da. Okay, and so here's another one. What is the Great Conjunction in 2024? We'll have Mars and Jupiter. Considering the brightness of both planets, the distance between them, and their visibility, this conjunction can be considered the best of the year. What planets will align? Oh my. There it is. So, and this is like the big picture of the eclipse right here. The next planetary alignment takes place on April 4th, 2024. Wait a second. Is that before the eclipse? Hold up. Hang on. I gotta go back. What are you telling me? Why does it say 4/8? 4/8. Why are they saying 4/4? So it happens before the eclipse, this does? That's weird. But you'll need a telescope or high. So we have Venus, Neptune, Saturn, and Mars. 1, 2, 3, 4. 4 of them are lining up. And that is before. Yeah, it's just for a moment. Okay. See, so we got a lot of stuff going on this year. It's not just. There it is. Wait, hold on. Is this a game? Do you see what they have these kids messing with so many things. Curse of Strahd, the Grand Conjunction, a dark, ambitious scheme for an active, goal-oriented Strahd. Reloaded. Yeah, it's like a game or something, or an arc, man. Come on, guys. Can we focus on, like, more positive things? But we have to know what's coming, I guess. That's just their stories, though, that they make up. And that's where we're running into trouble, too. Because they're coming through the computers. in some weird way. Again, nothing is like it was when we were kids. All right. The Great Conjunction Curse, will it happen again? Everyone is excited to look at the night sky and see the planets align, but did you know that every time this takes place, an unexpected event always happens? Aside from the extraordinary beauty that is witnessed in the sky, assassinations of U.S. presidents also took place during Jupiter or Saturn conjunctions. What is the Great Conjunction Curse, and will it happen again this 2020? And there it is. 2020, if you drop the zeros in gematria, because you do, they're just like placeholders basically, you have 2, right? 2020. I really would like to pin down the date that this all started, but we seem to have like a repetitive thing happening. And that's where I don't like this, and that's what we're going to get into next before I close this video out, is to tell you where I'm going with this whole thought process and the theory I have about the fake reincarnation and what's walking the earth right now, like they say in the Hopi prophecy. We're going to take a video too and look at just the Hopi prophecy. Maybe look at that along with some of the scenes from iPet Goat 2, because we never looked at the whole thing. And we never had them both at the same time, I don't think, in one video. And again, that's what we do. We are comparing, how do I say this? The writings and the texts that we have available to us with events that we're seeing happen right now. But you have to actually be seeing them in person. It can't be things that are just on the screen. Those almost all, unfortunately, need to be dismissed. Now, they are something else. And I'm trying to show you that too. And so is I Am Truth, or whatever he's going to call himself now. Truth Orgy? I don't know. Okay. So let's look at what this means, and then I'll tell you my theories on the reincarnation bit. What will happen during the Great Conjunction? 2 gas giants align. This happens every 20 years, and this December 21st, we'll be able to witness the closest planetary alignment of Jupiter and Saturn in the last 800 years. So that happened on the solstice in 2020. 2020 was wicked too. Like that year, I don't know. Since 2017, everything's been weird for me, but I've had a nice period of peace to just kind of talk to God and hang out with my dogs recently, and I've cherished that a lot. What was the last Jupiter-Saturn conjunction? I don't care. I just want to know, like, what events in history. There we go. Okay. For some, it is a sign of rebirth and new beginnings, but for some, this event is viewed as an omen or a warning of things to come, like the Great Flood, the birth of Christ, and even the collapse of civilization. It also happened when Christ was on the cross. The sky darkened like sackcloth, and the earth shook. So again, all these things are supposed to repeat with his second coming. Not every, but it's in a different way, right? Obviously, like he's coming back or whatever. So, assassinations of U.S. presidents also took place during the Jupiter or Saturn conjunction. Abraham Lincoln, Saturn and Mercury. John F. Kennedy, Jupiter and Saturn, and there he is. The Mandela effect. Everybody always mentioning Kennedy and who did what and how many people were in the car. It's very possible somebody's trying to change that. He was one of my guesses for the person with a head wound who would come back and be the AC. Hold please, though. I like him just as much as everybody else, right? He's a very good speaker as far as presidents go. I enjoyed him, what I knew of him and saw of him. So I'm not going to say whether somebody's good, bad, or any of that stuff. I really don't even like making those types of predictions, other than the fact that you need to know certain things are out there, and that the ideas at least are out there, so that if some weird, strange thing starts happening to you, don't be taken away by fear. Don't let your emotions carry you away. Be rooted in your faith, whatever that is. Everybody has faith in something. You might not even know it. But whatever keeps you well-balanced, stay within that and hold on to your faith, no matter what happens, no matter what you see, no matter what they say. And if you're not seeing it in front of you, if you can't touch it, feel it, taste it, other than God and Christ, don't believe it. We got to start looking at the fruit of these people. All of these stories, space program stories, right? and I hate to say this, and I'm going to say it, and you're going to hate me for it, because I'm very anti this as a parent, as a mother, and as somebody who has this in my personal life. I think there are a lot of false accusations coming around, because a lot of the people I see saying that they were abused in that way come from a very specific background, and they are very steeped in occult. And that's the reason. Again, supply and demand, guys. I'm not going to talk about it openly because we're not supposed to. But I think there's a lot of false accusations coming about that as well. Yeah, so that's where I am. So JFK, that's interesting. Jupiter and Saturn, that's the same one that we had repeated in 2017. We just saw on the little... Oh, did it show it here? It might not. It might have been in the other link we were looking at. Anyway, if you want to go back and check it out, you can, because we did just see that. Is this a mere coincidence, or does Great Conjunction bring with it a curse? Is this why the outbreak of CV, which took away millions of lives all over the world, happened in the year of the Great Conjunction? Whatever it brings, we surely would not miss seeing this extraordinary event. Those are the tags that are attached to it. I'd be really curious as to what else started, because that's what I'm starting to think is like, this is the date. If you want to set a date, you can go backwards, very possibly, and say that this is when tribulation began, is 2020. And this eclipse would be halfway. I thought it was last year. I thought for sure last Easter something pertaining to me on a personal level was going to occur, but it didn't. Again, this is, you don't give voice to certain things. God is going to do what God is going to do. But God does prepare you, and he does warn you when something's coming, and he doesn't leave you just blind. Everybody thinks I'm cold and heartless now. That's not it at all. I have work to do, like on my soul, on my spirit. I have things I have to purge out of me. I know this. So does everybody else who's here. And I want it done and over with on this side of the veil. I don't want to do purgatory. I don't want to do hell. Don't want to do that stuff. So I'm doing my best to try and not do that. But I know that everything and everyone I love, whether you call it Satan, whether it's a specific demon that my mother got attached to me, I don't know. But I know that everything and everyone I love seems to have issue. So I'm doing my best to not even reach out to people at this time. And I know it might sound heartless or whatever. I don't even know if there's anyone left who does care about me. And that's just the truth, because, guys, people changed. Like, I don't know how else to say it. So here's where I get into the reincarnation bit, and this is why I'm bringing this up. Did I have any background stuff pulled up for this? I don't think I did. Okay, so I found out Joseph Smith was 1820, so I wanted to look at anything else that might have happened that year. It says it was packed with many historical events. Now look at this. The formation of the Astronomical Society of London, the discovery of Antarctica by the Russian Antarctic expedition. That happened in 1820. Same time, Joseph Smith allegedly saw Christ and the Father in America. Okay? Now, I don't necessarily think that's what he saw. I think he was given truth. The devil has to tell you some truth, or he wouldn't have anybody following him. We know in our hearts what's true. Like, even if you don't want it to be true, you will pull to your heart that truth. You know what I mean? Like a magnet. And it resonates. It rings like a bell. We know this. We just deny it a lot. We delude ourselves a lot. Nobody has lied to me more than I've lied to myself, pretty much, about my own life, what's going on here. And a lot of it was survival tactics, defense mechanisms. I did what I had to do, I thought, to feed my children. So much here relies on food, right? Eat, sit, watch, eat. I think we have a beautiful planet, or a beautiful realm. I think there's many of them. And I think that the Mormons were given some truth, that Joseph Smith was given some truth. But I find it highly suspicious that the same year he allegedly saw father and son in America, that this happened. Because you know what I think of Antarctica. I think that's Tartaria. Tartar. I think Tartarus. I think it's where some of the fallen angels are held. And I think that personally, if you're far from God, it would be cold. To me, hell is cold. There is a lake of fire. God is a refining fire, right? Right now, I'm in the fire. Have been for a few years now. God's been refining me. It's taken that long. Like, it's not any 30-second thing. And people who criticize you on your walk, or if they say, that you're not doing enough to be a decent person, whatever criticism comes your way, I'm not going to be the one to tell you, you're good just the way you are. You don't need to change. You don't need to do nothing. You're a God yourself. I'm never going to tell you that. I am going to tell you, though, that you have a choice and that you're sovereign and that you can choose to cooperate with the one who made you, with the maker, to be a better version of yourself. Not everyone here anymore, either the truest version of them has come out, because some of these children were saddled. These things were attached to them as children. I think that might be what happened to me. For whatever reason, it did not take very well. And that makes the ones around me very, very angry, and I know this. So I try to keep the ones I love at arm's reach right now. Arm's length. So 1820 was a big year, right? And then not too long after that, you had the Spanish flu, which was kind of a trial run for what you're seeing now, I believe. And I've told you that story over and over with Typhoid Mary. I think she knew too much. She worked for high-class families, elitists. A couple of them were bankers, and I think that's why they quarantined her to an island for the rest of her life, because she knew too much and she didn't have any men relations who could protect her, because, unfortunately, women are under the domain of men. God made it that way. We're at enmity until we're not. Until we're not. So, basically what I'm saying here is the Nephilim were cursed to walk the earth forever and be called the evil spirits. If you were told you had to be here forever, they probably do resent us. They probably consider it more their abode than ours at this point in time. Why God kind of left us together, I think it's a mutual thing. I think it's to refine us. I'm going to have to look at that verse because I don't remember if it said forever. I just know that they're cursed to walk the earth as evil spirits. It's very possible that the Egyptian version of reincarnation, and I've gone over how I think they do this in the past, even the Buddhists with the bowls, right, and meditation and hypnosis, and consent. I think that's what they do. I think that is their way, since they are cursed and they don't want to repent, I guess, and they don't want to choose Christ, I guess. I think it's their choice, because again, God always gives you a choice. But you'll say, well, God didn't want them to be made or whatever. They were made by angel and man and woman. Yeah, but we consented. It was done. God isn't big on destroying things. Like, he waits to do that. That was a last-ditch effort when he said, go into Canaan. Don't be scared, because he said, Joshua came back, or the spies came back, and he said, we were like grasshoppers in their eyes, because they were literal giants. And God said, go, I'm with you. You've got to get rid of these ones, because they are just going to keep doing this. And they're going to keep tormenting my children, and they're going to keep making food of you. Basically, that's what happened. I think they used this false reincarnation thing. I think you're seeing a couple things take place, though, right now. I think you're seeing, number one, people making their own boogeymans. You're seeing whatever it is, or people are seeing whatever it is they are the most afraid of. Even through your devices, especially through your devices. I'm not convinced that what I see on my news is even similar to what you see on your news, because I'm afraid of different things than you are. Do you see what I mean? That's what happens when you use sentient beings or an actual life form inside of a device. And I've gone over all that too. And it has everything to do with the black goo. And for whatever reasons, the Egyptians, black goo, that is like, it is the hive mind. That is legion. Like, they are all within the black goo. And that's why you see it on some of the Egyptian coffins and sarcophagi. They are telling us, they're trying to get it into us subliminally. And I guess it all took with me. I guess all the messages finally came through. And in 27, I was like, holy cow, we're not alone. Things are going on. Bigger things are going to go on. And I'm going to freak out. Because I did kind of freak out over it. Like, who wouldn't? Who wouldn't? Suddenly your family, like, being weird, and you're having dreams they want to eat you, and you don't know why you're dreaming that, and something's going on. And it's not just me. You can sit there and call me crazy. I don't care. You're not a doctor, and even they aren't doctors anymore. Do you know how easy it is to impersonate somebody now? It's everywhere, guys. It is a few different things happening at one time. So you have basic individuals and citizens and people playing Fortnite, okay, in real life. They're pretending to be people that they're not. Cartel, military, police officers, all of them. Not all of them, but they're not all legit, okay? Then you have spiritually people attached to other people or people in their bodies that aren't them. The Hopi said it would happen. The book of Revelation said it would happen. I'm not the only one. I just seem to be the one who talks about it this openly, I guess. What does this matter? Because I think that something, again, is going to really whiplash on this next eclipse on 4/8. And I'm not going to predict anything. I don't want to do that. I will only say that, again, when Christ was executed, there was an eclipse, and there are eclipses that are often attached. And this is how we're going to end this one. As above, so below, right, guys? Well, and again, you're going to say, you're a cultic, you're a cultic. You guys can't get past, some people can't get past that simple phrasing. Like, just stop it and learn. Stop pointing fingers at how wicked everybody else is and work on you. Because time is very short. Like, I don't know how else to say it, and it's not that I want to be mean or anything like that, but I've been doing this at my own detriment. I'm exhausted. I just want everybody to be in peace and harmony. And my world's been in tribulation since, like I said, 2017. So for me, for some of us, it's been longer. It says, solar eclipses do not have any direct correlation with triggering earthquakes or tsunamis. They are celestial events and do not influence. Liar. It says it's a misconception that lacks scientific basis. Does it really, though? Does it really? See, now, who's that from? That's October 13th, 2023. News Kalos. I don't even know who that is. Fiction. Separating fact from fiction. Cal OES. News. All right, well, let's keep looking. The myths and beliefs surrounding lunar eclipses are largely based on cultural, religious, and astrological traditions rather than empirical evidence. Okay, so empirical evidence is science, right? That's what they use, this empirical paradigm or structure, should I say. And this is where I'm going to get ticked off, because it says it's based on cultural, religious, and astrological traditions. All people who know about the skies and stars, okay? Rather than empirical evidence. We don't know because they're in the past with these great conjunctions. This is the first time these things have happened this boom, 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 like in many, many years. We know this. The one that happened in 2017 was the first in 2,000 years since Christ. So they don't know. There is no evidence to see. Because nobody's still around, and if they are still around, they're not talking or they don't remember. Because, yeah, I think that's a thing too, and I really don't want to get into that now, but you have people like Saint Germain and the Roman soldier who was cursed to walk the earth until Christ comes back. He would not die, he would not age, nothing. I think him and Saint Germain are the same person, by the way, but these stories aren't stories for no reason. They come from somewhere. Even when you write a fictional story, it is coming from a place. Your imagination is channeling or funneling or receiving a download from the Most High. I don't know. From another person, maybe. Sometimes from the demonic. We are open receivers right now, especially, and again, we've done all the research. If you're drinking the coffee in the mornings, it's opening you up. That's why they're able to know what you want to do or what you're doing. It makes it easier for them. There's a reason they push these things. Coffee, chocolate, gluttony, alcohol, all those things leave a door open within you. And that's a demon's job, is to get to know you like a best friend and then to turn around and stab you in the back. That's their job. That's their nature. But to say that there is no sudden release of toxins or harmful elements, dude, this goes back so far. Could a solar eclipse start an earthquake and then likely to cause, and here it is. So can we use a little common sense again, please? And this is from 7 years ago. So again, you have to go back. Most people are lazy with research, and they will click on the first link that's brought up. Don't ever do that if you want the truth. Don't do that. Truth has to be sought. Like, you have to dig for it. Okay, so could the alignment of the moon really be a key to unlocking when large earthquakes will occur? Okay, starting at 10:15 on the West Coast, now this was 2017, millions of Americans will begin to take in the first solar eclipse to cross the entire country since 1918, which again, they were knees deep in the Spanish flu right at that time, and you have the same events taking place again, right now. That's not coincidence. I don't know what it is exactly, but it's not coincidence. In total, it takes the eclipse approximately 90 minutes to cross the country in an event that has drawn people from all over the globe. Even though eclipses happen about every 18 months, this one is the most accessible to Americans in 38 years. However, if you miss this one, the next total solar eclipse to cross the U.S. will be on April 8th, 2024. For the town of Carbondale, that's shut up. That's just weird, right? I was just talking about 666, and one of those sixes standing for carbon. And Carbondale, Illinois residents are lucky enough to be in the path of totality for both today's eclipse and the one in 7 years. Ugh, I don't know if I'd want to be them. One question that frequently comes up in Google searches is whether or not an eclipse could cause an earthquake. Now, again, let's use reasoning and logic and past experience. While the eclipse itself is unlikely to cause an earthquake, the increased tidal stresses during a new moon, which is required for a solar eclipse, could slightly increase the likelihood of a large earthquake. Tidal reconstructions done by a team of Japanese scientists appear to show that large subduction zones are highly sensitive to changes from tidal stresses. By analyzing and stimulating tides in the 2 weeks prior to large events, example 2004 Sumatra, 2010 Chile, and 2011 Tohoku, they found that the earthquakes tended to occur at times of maximum stress during full or new moons. There is a correlation. As above, so below. They don't want you panicking. I don't know, man. I think there's a lot going on right now, and it is organized chaos. It looks like chaos to us, but I don't think that's actually what it is. And you pretty much know how I feel at this point. I would watch for something happening today. 222. Again, also, if their time started at 2020, it's very possible they had a 7-year lead up to this time, and then the 7-year time. I'm still trying to work out the numbers, but I'll get there. This was just like me briefly touching on several of these moving parts of everything that is happening in our lifetime. There is more than I need to go over with you. But basically, in a nutshell, I wrote this earlier. And so I just want to read this to anyone who didn't understand what I was getting at about the reincarnation and all that. Okay, seeing the things that they've shown me, knowing, and this is my journal, so don't be picky, please. Knowing for them there is another way besides Christ. Knowing about natural law, understanding about consent, but that God's will supersede all in the end. Knowing what I know now, I can see only one scenario where the Maker would allow for such things as their body swapping or bogus reincarnation, and again, this is my journal, so, to take place, would be for those who heaven, Eden, and paradise are forever lost, aka the ones cursed to walk the earth, would be allowed an alternative as long as natural law was obeyed. The Nephilim, the Viking warriors of old, the ancient ones. I think they're awake. I think they're fully in their new roles, and we're in a different time, man. But I think you need to be aware. I don't think being asleep is going to help you through anything. And I think you're going to need to test your own mettle, and you need to be enduring and have fortitude. And we need to study to show ourselves approved. Best thing I can tell you to do in the next few weeks leading up to this is to live in the moment, enjoy, right? The joy itself. Be in the moment. Don't allow fear or your imagination to carry you away too much. I mean, sure, escapism is nice. Keep the ones that you love close. Observe them. Make sure everything is okay with them. Be very careful with who you trust. Don't invite anyone new into your life. I would not do that. Or at least definitely don't start a new romantic relationship with anyone at this time, because not everyone is human. And I know that, like, I stopped using social media altogether, and it was right after the abuse, and it's pretty much what they, like, that's what they wanted. I know that was one of the goals of this, was to get me offline. And I don't care so much, like, it's not even an issue for me. I just want to know, like, what the main goal is and why they're doing it all. But procreation seems to be a number one thing at this point in time. I don't want to speculate exactly why, because I know they don't per se want to be parents. I think it's about numbers and things that we just don't know yet. And things that I'm not going to talk about, at least not yet. I've talked about all these things in brief in past videos. But that's it in a nutshell. We've got the black goo sentient beings pretty much living in all of our electronics. We've got the old ancient fallen ones playing musical chairs with bodies and whatnot. And I think that the only reason God may have allowed these things to go on is because of the time we're in. But also we need to learn our lesson about consent. All Eve had to do was tell him no. That's it. All she had to do was say no. No. Why don't we say no? I mean, I literally had my mouth washed out as a kid every time I said no. That's not good to do. Like, we're not, I don't know, guys. But I'm in a good place right now. I hope you're in a good place right now. And by that, I mean spiritually. Physically, who knows where we're at? I have no clue anymore. But enjoy the days. Now, I'm going to do a couple more uploaded videos. The live streams are to show everybody the process. I will organize things a little better and do a couple uploads. Don't feel like you have to watch them all or watch them. Doesn't matter to me. But the experiments that I have coming up, I would appreciate if you watch those. Or the videos that I upload from the camera. I got a couple more of those where I'm testing light and stuff. Please watch those. Because I could use some help with the lighting and stuff. I would like to get a few good sunsets and a nice walk through the trail again before the eclipse, and hopefully things will start to fill out with the greenery. Anyway, I love you guys. I do, and I pray for you all the time. And just because I know that most of the people out there are my enemies at this point in time doesn't mean I don't love you, and it doesn't mean I don't pray for you. What's really messed up is finding out, and really surreal for me, where we get into, like, are you living the story or a character's life? I start to read stuff in that Bible now, and it's stuff that I've said. Like, you don't know me. Nobody's ever known me. That's what Christ could possibly, that's like the most fearsome thing Christ could ever say to me, and I've said it to other people. But it's true. I feel like, you know, we walk through this life in our generation. There's something very different happening. Like, we're so disconnected from each other. And we're supposed to be more connected than ever, but we're not. We're further away. There's a lesson in there somewhere. Anyways, I love you guys. Thanks for being here, and more later. And I will organize the thoughts and the theories and put them in their own uploads. But I really want to hear what you guys think, and I really just want to know how you're spending your time. And do you have any plans for that day, and what will you do? It'd be awesome to film something like that, but I don't think there's a special lens for a handy camcorder. It's like a cheesy several year old camcorder. So I don't think I could get one, but I will look. All right. I'm going to go. I love you guys. So that's the research. That is part of it. Now, I have some maps. And what we're going to look at next, like, well, where this is all going is maps. We're going to do a more fun video on mazes and labyrinths. But maps are going to be a big thing because I would actually like to use an AI app for this experiment I want to do. So if you know of a good one that can go through a lot of information quickly for an app, I mean, I know I can't expect, wonders, but I want to look for some very specific information as far as maps go. And I think AI could do it a lot quicker than I could. So if anyone knows if like ChatGPT can do certain things, shoot me an email and let me know. All right, guys. I love you. Thanks for being here. Have a blessed day.